going on, everybody? It's AuroraYG coming at you with a brand new video, and today I am incredibly excited because once again the awesome team over at Elestrals has given me the incredible opportunity to open one of their creator boxes. A bit of a lore dump before we begin. Elestrals is an awesome new TCG made by the Pokemon YouTuber A-Drive that broke incredible Kickstarter records for its launch, and it's been going a couple of years now. I believe we are hitting its second year of being officially a TCG, and it's been cranking out into local tournament stores everywhere, card shops, stuff like that. You can even buy them on Walmart.com, and because it is a TCG created by a content creator, he understands that a really great way at spreading the word and just the game in general would be to have content creators open little care packages for it to show off all of the awesome things for the new releases for the game. For example, my last creator box was for Frostfall, which was the second official core set of the game, and now this one is for Moonrise, which is the newest and I believe fourth core set in the game. We did miss out on Daybreak, which was set 3, but not really tripping too much about it. And this box right here comes with a lot of goodies, and this thing is massive. Like, this is really heavy. Like, oh my god. And Dan and his team were incredibly generous enough to not only send me my Frostfall creator box, but to also give me one of these creator boxes as well to show off on the channel. Now, last time I was having issues showing off the box and all the stuff that's like on the sides and stuff like that. I promise that this time I'll be doing some B-roll footage after the fact of the video, because this thing is massive, and some of the stuff in here I just won't be able to fully show off and let everybody fully appreciate on camera, at least with this current setup. So I'll have to take some extra B-roll footage, and I'll try to squeeze that in there. But I don't want to waste any more time. I'm going to go ahead and start opening this thing to see all of the goodies that are in here. You can at least see the front a little bit here. It's got all of the different spirit symbols, as well as a little owl loon. This represents the spirit of Lunar, because Moonrise, if you couldn't tell, is the lunar-based set. Basically, Lunar was the last of the spirits slash element types to actually be revealed. And so it ended up getting the last core set dedicated to itself, whereas like Frostfall got set 2, Solar got set 3, etc, etc. And to interrupt my little talk about Moonrise here, right off the bat, I can see just how different this box is compared to my last one, because the last one, rather than having an awesome little plushie over here, actually came with 2 booster boxes. But hey, I'm not gonna lie, I've been wanting an Elestrals plushie for a while now. Let me slide this out of the way, actually. Ever since I saw the Sundial and the Daybreak creator boxes, and I just didn't want to pay the shipping on them. Yeah, forget the cards for a second here. I am a, well, I was going to say a word that YouTube might not like, but I am very in love with little collectible items and stuff like that. I'm a bit of a merchandise goblin, if you will. And holy hell is this cute. This is Voldusk. It is one of the basically like flagships of the Moonrise set. See if I can get like a good focus on that. I don't have autofocus on, unfortunately. But basically it's a little fox creature that revolves around one of the first archetypes in the game, being the Lunar Phase archetype, which we will 100% see as we open up these packs here. And it basically becomes a big Ninetales fox, similar to like Vulpix into Ninetales. And this thing is super cute. Again, just like with the box, I am going to do some B-roll footage for this guy because I can't show him in his full glory with this very limited camera space, but I'm going to put him right off to the side right here so he can watch me as I open this set. Anyways, back to talking about Moonrise as I open up all this stuff. So Moonrise is really interesting because not only does it introduce the lunar element into the game, it's also by far the fastest set in the game. It has released a lot of really powerful archetypes as well as staple cards that have just significantly sped up the game's pace. If you want to think of it in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, think of going from GOAT format to maybe Edison format in terms of comboing. Again, I'll show more in some B-roll footage, but you can get a little bit of a look here onto the stuff on the inside. Got a very beautiful view of the Temple of the Moon, or at least the background behind it, I believe. Really pretty stuff, and then a glimpse at some of the Elestrals that you can get in this set. Yeah, honestly, I am incredibly excited about Moonrise. This is the format that is going to be used for the Dallas Open, which is an event coming in March, where it's going to be the first in-person premiere event from Elestrals, and so it is going to be really sick. I will be attending, as well as my friend in the last last Moonrise opening video. He didn't get a creator box, but he did open some product from Moonrise similar to what I'm going to be opening here. He got some really good pulls. I highly recommend checking out that video. And we're hoping we can have a blast, make some content, and make a lot of good memories. This is all a product that comes in the Moonrise creator box. We got a whole booster box of Moonrise, and oh my god. Check out how thick these boxes are for Elestrals. Like, look how tall they are compared to something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, keep in mind, my last box, or last creator box, had 2 of these. It was a ridiculous amount of cardboard. I have so much Frostfall bulk, it's incredible. We also have 1 of each of the brand new starter decks for Moonrise. Every set we have 2 starter decks, I believe. I don't know if they'll continue that trend after we've gotten through the main core sets revealing the elements, but I really hope that they do because these things are awesome. This one is Posthumous, and this one is Fulgorix. This one is basically Dan's specialty, like his favorite in the game. We have 4 different blister packs for Moonrise that come with different stellar promos. Keep in mind, stellar is basically the highest rarity in the game. However, the promo ones, of course, are a bit less special, but they do offer basically like a shiny Pokemon palette where the creature in the artwork or whatever aspect of the card will come in a different color palette. We also have 2 packs of the tournament packs, which I actually haven't been able to get myself due to not having an OTS that actually hosts Elestrals, unfortunately, as well as 1 pack of Shattered Stars. I believe this one is Sagittarius. And then we have the Stellar Like a Void promo inside this little slip right here for when you purchase $50 or more of product. It actually has swapped now. It is no longer that Like a Void. It's actually a Stellar Corvuscull, which is a different card. I'll try to flash up on the screen if I can, which is really cool that they've swapped it up a little bit compared to just keeping the same Stellar promo the whole time. You would think that not having an OTS store that actually hosts any Elestrals tournaments or holds any Elestrals product would really dampen my love for the game, but there are so many other different ways to play Elestrals that aren't just in person. While Dallas is going to be the very first premiere event for Elestrals, they do hold some regular webcam premiere events every so often online. It is an entry of, I believe, $25. You get prizes just for participating, and the prizes increase the higher that you do in the tournament. Not to mention that twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there are also the casual webcam tournaments, which are incredible. I participate them in just about almost every single week if I can, and just by participating you get caster coins, which can be used to redeem awesome prizes on the Elestrals website, such as literally getting free booster packs. If you get enough caster coins, I believe it's if you play in 40 of just the casual tournaments, you get an entire booster box of any set that you want. It is incredible. And most importantly, something that I have been absolutely jamming out lately, and I actually do have an unedited VOD of testing for the first time on the channel, Elestrals Clash is the fully automated Elestral simulator made by the Pixelborn team, currently in closed beta access to those who backed the Clash Kickstarter, but is looking for a full release sometime in March, though I assume it's going to be pushed a little bit further due to some bug issues, but I've been having an absolute blast playing that game. It is so fun. I wake up for work in the morning. First thing I do is I boot that up to get a couple clashes in before I go to work. It is awesome and is going to be incredibly helpful for practicing for Dallas if I can at least get all the cards for my deck in there. Just a heads up, I'm not being paid to say any of this like specific stuff. I'm just really passionate about Elestrals. All that stuff and more is actually explained on this little welcome to Elestrals sheet. See if I can get like a good glimpse at it. This is actually a really cool little slip that gives you a lot of information about Elestrals, such as the Discord community, participating in the events that I just mentioned, is the bi-monthly competitive events, the weekly casual events. You have playelestrals.com and collectelestrals.com to see set lists, find in-store play, and actually see if there is a shop hosting the game near you. We also have Elestrals Clash coming soon, as I mentioned, a caster account to collect all of your coins, build decks, keep them on the online Play Elestrals network. You can also check out the YouTube channel. I literally listen to it all the time. You got top cut matches and just Swiss matches recorded for the competitive events. You have creator matches, including the Elestriad, which I might talk about a little bit more later. Dan, get me in there for Season 4, please, for Moonrise. And, of course, news and updates for the Elestrals game. And then there is a bunch of other resources for insight for the game, including on this channel. I do play a lot of Elestrals. I'm going to try and pump out even more Elestrals content content, I want to make a more in-depth video on the Clash beta. And then it mentions the starter decks, upgrading the decks, etc. at the bottom. And then it just gives you a little bit of an overview of how to play Elestrals and how the cards work, showing off the spirits, the Elestrals, and the runes, which are basically like spells and trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! You got the rarity chart. That's actually very helpful. I actually had no idea how rarities worked in my last opening. We also have like the phases, we also have like the field, and then we also have this QR code right here. Might have to zoom in a bit, but if you want to get a tutorial on exactly how to play Elestrals, there is that QR code right there that you can scan. So yeah, really awesome stuff to get included in this box. And now, okay, I've been wasting a lot of time just yapping, and everyone that already knows Elestrals isn't really going to care about all that stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's go ahead and open some of these packs and products. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the starter decks. Now, opening starter decks, for some people might be incredibly boring. However, the starter decks themselves actually come with 3 packs, and they might actually contain a serialized stellar, I think there's also reverse stellars, of the small form of the boss monster, or boss Elestral, I should say, on the artwork. And if you watched my friend's Moonrise opening, you'll see that he pulled a serialized Stellar Nobby from the Fulgoric starter deck, which was absolutely incredible, and so I'm hoping I can match his luck. Let's go ahead and start off with the Fulgorix one. I'm probably going to speed up a lot of the opening process for a lot of these products, just so the video doesn't end up being like 8 hours long. I think my Frostfall opening was like 45 minutes long, and that was a lot of packs. That was 2 boxes worth of packs, the same amount of blister packs, the same amount of starter deck packs. Like, it was insane. And I always love this little sticker right here that they use to close the starter decks and stuff like that. I always feel bad when I open them. Ooh, do not make a big cut on the front of the box. There we go. And this is... Ooh, I actually started cutting it. But yeah, this is really cool to get these starter decks, because all the starter decks actually come with a unique die, a spin down D20 that showcases basically like the element that it comes with. And I'm basically only missing water, I think, at this point after getting these lunar ones. So that's really, really cool. We go ahead and take out this filler cardboard right here. I'm gonna set these packs to the side. These ones have a bunch of different like what would you call it, like cover cards, I would say. We have Carry Off, as well as Posthumous and Vol Clips. There's a little Vol Dust that I mentioned earlier when I showed off the plushie. I'm gonna put these to the side and open them at the end of the starter decks, before I get into like the blister packs and the booster box and stuff like that. We also have a little how to play guide. They change it up every time there's a new starter deck based on the cover card that you got. These little how to play guides are actually incredibly helpful. I used them a lot when I first got into the game, before I had access to the Discord resources that I do now. But I love that they update them all the time for the different sets. Like this is Carry On, as well as Electronite right here. Both the new cards out of Moonrise. Well, I don't know about Carry On, actually. Carry On might be old, but I don't know. But they like to update the manual for cards that basically are new, and that people that are opening these products might have questions for, as opposed to just doing a bunch of older cards that they might not even know exist. Now here is the Fulgorix, and I did just say it depends on the starter deck thing that you get up, but no, Posthumous is just like the cover card of Moonrise. Sorry if you couldn't tell from the booster box, because this is the Fulgorix starter deck right here. All of them come with a little, also a little card right here that kind of help you with some phase stuff. But yeah, this is Fulgorix. This is the boss Elestral of the Fulgorix starter deck. And he is really cool because Nobby and Doppelgator, the things that go into him, are incredibly strong on their own, whereas Fulgorix is unfortunately a little bit weaker. However, the gimmick is really, really sick in that they just really heavily drain non-lunar or solar enchanted Elestrals, whereas Fulgorix also has removal in that he can Nexus, which is to move spirits from one card to another on the field, and when he receives one or more spirit in a Nexus, you can target an opponent's card and put it on the bottom of their deck. So really cool removal. Just unfortunate that he's not super reliable to get out compared to just the Nobby and Doppelgator. Speaking of Nobby and Doppelgator, we are going to be attempting to see if we can get a Stellar Nobby here. All right, I think if it is in here, it'll be right past the Fulgorix. So we're gonna go ahead and... Okay.
Just a regular Nabi here, but honestly, it's just fine because Nabi is an absolutely incredible card in the game of Elestrals right now. Basically, it allows itself to reduce the attack of non-lunar or solar enchanted Elestrals by 2 until the end phase when it receives a lunar spirit, which includes on its cast. And when it destroys an Elestral by battle, you get to special ascend it into Doppelgator, which basically does the same thing as Nabi, but permanently as opposed to just the turn that it's cast. And also, if it receives one or more in a Nexus, it gets to ascend into a full Gorix from hand or deck. But typically, you'll just be using Nabi to punch over something, use its effect to go into Doppelgator, and then either punch directly for 2 or punch over another thing. Basically, it allows you to swing very wide, which isn't something typically seen in the game of Elestrals. We also have a bunch of awesome Moonrise cards included in here, as well as some old faces. We have Gloombat, which was not only in Moonrise, but also a promo in the Lunar Shattered Stars, which is their monthly subscription service. And then this is a really cool card, but has fallen off a little bit due to the release of cards like Hurricane and Moonrise, making people not set as many back row. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit now so that we can get a better view of the cards as I open them. We have Havacub, who isn't generally super great, but his Ascension Pulveror is pretty strong, allowing you to special ascend it from your Lunar Elestral if you also disenchant a Lunar from your field. So at the cost of getting rid of an extra Lunar Spirit, you get a free additional Ascension. Typically, you can only ascend once per turn outside of effects like that. Porky Wraith, really funny underexplored card. Comalis, really funny card because people were really hyping this for Pharaoh Geist, a card that was limited on the most recent Forbidden and Limited list, or Tartarus list as it is called in Elestrals, because this allows you to Nexus up to 2 Lunar Spirits and add a Spectre Elestral, Ghost Elestral, whatever you want to call it, Spirit Elestral, and Pharaoh Geist falls under that. However, Pharaoh Geist hasn't really done the moves that everyone thought it would. There's Carry On that we saw in the little booklet, as well as Carry Off, which allows you to expend 2 Lunar in order to target an opponent's Elestral and take control of it until the end phase, which is actually really, really funny because you can just steal a lot of really cool Elestrals. And then we have some older faces, like I mentioned, Exaltair, Veratuka, Elechik. So interestingly enough, here's a bit of an opportunity to talk about starter decks. So Elechik was limited on the most recent Forbidden and Limited / Tartarus list, and one thing that is unfortunate about certain aspects in card games is that even if there are good cards in their starter deck, it makes them really prone to being hit on the ban list, and someone that picks up just a starter deck won't be able to actually play the game in a legal tournament setting. The idea with Elestrals is that they want their starter decks to be as competitive and tournament ready as possible, and so basically, as long as you play a fully unaltered starter deck, card for card as what comes in it, you can actually play any number of copies of those restricted cards. If a deck comes with 2 copies of Earthquake instead of the one that it's limited to, you can actually play it. If it's playing the currently banned Spark It, you can actually play it, as long as the starter deck is completely unaltered from its original list. And I think that's a really funny rule implemented for Elestrals that a lot of people are kind of freaked out about. However, due to the kind of lack of consistency in a lot of these starter decks, and how they do have a few filler cards, because at the end of the day it is a starter deck, then they're not super competitively viable, as opposed to just making a current list using the current Tartarus list with just all good cards in it. We've got some Nectar of the Gods, which is basically Pot of Greed in Yu-Gi-Oh! We have Ambrosia, arguably the strongest card in the game, allowing you to recover your spirits. Always going to be nice to have extra copies of those. Circle the Sky with the Luminape Owloon art, allowing you to Nexus up to 2 and draw a card. Artemis is the Divine Rune for Moonrise, and currently the last known Divine Rune. We know that there are more gods coming that might not be Divine Runes, so that could be really interesting. This card, I think, is going to be really busted in the future, though, allowing you to disenchant to suppress an Elestral until the opponent's next end phase. And actually, it's just any face-up card in the opponent's field, which is really good. And suppression is kind of like an Imperm, essentially. Temple of the Moon is the Lunar Stadium. Bow of Artemis is the artifact. We're also playing Aeolus in this list because we do have some 1-drop spirits. Also just good to have more copies of Aeolus in case I want to play Windbox. We have Altar of Stars, very strong counter rune. Helios' Chariot Ride, very strong counter rune. More copies of Poison Tipped Arrow, one of the strongest counter rune in the game, as well as Divine Healing, one of the newest runes out of Moonrise, allowing you to enchant up to 3 spirits from your underworld to a Divine Rune on your field. Not so good in this starter deck as it is in the other one that actually revolves around Artemis, but it is a really solid card in general, especially because this is also playing Aeolus. And then for the Spirit Math, it gives us a bunch of Owloons with that new Moonrise artwork, as well as one of these Sassy Zaptors, some Lycoris, and then of course that card that I mentioned at the end. That's it for Fulgorix. Moving on to Posthumous. This is the one that's actually a little bit more hyped in terms of just starter deck playability, because there actually are, on sometimes of the casual tournaments that I mentioned, the casual webcam tournaments on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there are sometimes little special event tournaments, and that includes starter deck only tournaments, which aren't as popular, admittedly. A lot of people like using the webcam tournaments for practice for regular games, but they are still pretty fun, and Posthumous is looking to be one of the better starter decks in there, because while he's not great in a more competitive aspect, he is a really dominant force against a lot of the other starter decks. Packs to the side like before. We got 2 of the Volclips packs in this one. It doesn't really matter what covers or what card is on the cover, by the way, for what cards you get, just like basically any other card game. And then this is Posthumous right here. It says when your Artemis suppresses a card, you can target and destroy that card, and while Artemis is enchanted, this Posthumous is unaffected by counter runes. And counter runes are incredibly strong in the game of Elestrals. They are kind of like the bread and butter. Again, think of it like Goat or Edison format, where half the decks are just really strong staple trap cards. And it works really well again with that Artemis, because Artemis allows you to suppress and pop things as long as you have the Posthumous up, and cards like Divine Healing are incredibly strong with this, because you can just keep looping that one copy of Artemis in a game where face-up back row removal isn't incredibly all over the place. Alright, just like the last starter deck, we will be flipping to see if we got a stellar Fawnlet in this one, which is the little form of Posthumous. We're going to go 3, 2, 1. Okay, no, just a regular Fawnlet. This card's really funny, though. On cast, it allows you to add Artemis or its evolution Theraheart, but it also allows you to gain 1 defense for each Lunar Enchanting Artemis on the field, and so you can put this card up to, like, 6 defense right off the bat, which makes it really hard for a lot of starter decks to out. Then we have Theraheart, which allows you to disenchant 2 Lunar from your Artemis to negate a counter rune, and then you can special ascend this into a Posthumous, so it can kind of force your opponent onto some weird situations where they don't want to use a counter rune against you. And then we have a lot of the older cards from the other set. We have Gloombat, but we also have, instead of a Havocub and Pulveror, it looks like we have Toxiri and Night Venom. Toxiri allows you to search for Dense Fog, which is kind of like a skill drain on cast, and suppressed Elestrals get -2 attack and defense. And then we also have Night Venom, which is its evolution, which is a lot better into Lunar matchups, because Dense Fog doesn't work on Lunar Enchanted Elestrals, because it allows you to discard a Dense Fog in order to target and destroy up to 2 cards, and while you have at least 2 Dense Fog in your Underworld, it can't be targeted by Invoke Runes, which are like normal spells. Spectarius, all around, really strong card for a lot of formats. It allows you to suppress an Elestral when you swing with it, and it gets +1 attack for each suppressed Elestral in the field. With Artemis, that can do a lot. Comalis again. Bandaloon allows you to expend 2 Lunar in order to take control of an opponent's face down room. Really funny. A lot of people like to try and mess with it, but it's not really a great card, admittedly. And then Cryptoris gets +2 attack for each time you foretold this turn, and you can expend a Lunar in order to foretell 3 and add any number of Lunar Elestrals that cost at least 2 spirits foretold this way to your hand. So this can be a really great way to add your Therahearts or your Posthumous, as well as getting a decent beater on board. Viscerus, the Nexus form of Spectarius, one of the best cards in the early stages of the game. Moss Station, really good in that old Crabs 5 list. Ardbud is a new card from Moonrise that allows you to disenchant spirits from your bug cards in order to special ascend this Ardbud to Ardvarum from your deck. And when this Ardbud receives 1 or more Earth Spirits, you can search your deck for a 1-spirit Bug Elestral and add it to your hand. Very popular in a deck called Bug Box, which plays a lot of those strong cards like Viscerus, Spectris, as well as the Antitan line sometimes, which is the big form of this. We have more Nectar of the Gods, Ambrosia. We have our Artemises here, very important for the Posthumous strategy. Our Temples, there's that Dense Fog that I mentioned earlier. We have 2 copies of the Limited Earthquake, like I mentioned earlier, because this is a starter deck. If you play it completely as the list shows, you can actually play both of these copies of Earthquake. We have some Poison-Tipped Arrows. This one also comes with Gorgon's Gaze, which is one of the best cards in the entire game. And then we have 2 copies of Divine Healing for this one, because Artemis is a little bit more important. as well as having a bunch of Aloons and the new artwork for Terratlas. All of the Moonrise artworks are so cute. Unfortunately, we did not get any of the stellar versions of the cards in the starter decks. However, it did come with 3 packs per starter deck, and so we do get to open 6 additional packs on top of all the other ones that we received in this product today. And so I'm going to go ahead and get into them. Starting off with this pack, we have a Navi, a Fawnlip. There's the little Voldust like I was mentioning earlier, and this basically completes the trifecta of cards, like cover cards or staple cards for Moonrise. We have the Navi, Fawnlip, and the Voldusk. We have Gloombat, Toxiri, Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, this time of day, this part of the country, localized entirely on the Aurora YGO YouTube channel. Honestly, I'm so disappointed that Dan didn't ask me to cover exactly this card when it was revealed. We have Cunning Offer, which is a Trojan Horse reference. Helios's Slumber. Ooh, Spoiled Fruit fills our rare slot with a Vipyro and our Spirit slot as a Fire Spirit. So this card is incredible, and I'm really excited that I pulled it. So basically, it can only be played when an opponent activates a card or effect that returns 1 or more spirits from their underworld to the spirit deck. It negates that effect and destroys that card. And with cards such as Draco Ray, that are big bodies that you have to put a lot of effort into bringing out that also heal, you can just get a free negate and destroy on it for the cost of 1 spirit. And at the end of the day, you can basically go spirit for spirit with your opponent, trading against cards like Ambrosia or even something like a Calfmel that would heal a lot of spirits back. This is an incredible pull, hollow or not. Okay, really good pack to start us off with. We have 5 more packs for these starter decks here. Starting this one off, we have Schnark, little guy. I love this guy. I wanted to play this for Draking so bad. You might have seen my Draking list for Daybreak up on the channel. And this card basically searches it on cast. It works really with cards like Foamy. We have Starvit, just a little guy. I'm so mad that we didn't get any better Water Nexus Elestrals in this set. We have Electrifly. This goes into that Electra Knight we showed in the booklet. Winjin, which goes into the comically buff Tornadin. We have Carrion. Aardvarm, this is the evolution of that Ardbud that I showed off, allows you to search for any bug card, not just a 1-drop bug Elestral, and also allows you to target and destroy a bug Elestral on the field to special ascend it. And then we have a Cedar Soar, which is good for the Blister strategy. It's essentially a Lightsworn card. We have a Cactobrum, as well as a Joblin for our rare slot, and a Zaptor for our spirit slot. Joblin is the evolved form of Schnark, allows you to expend water in order to change the position of an Elestral that is not water enchanted, but one or more Elestrals change their positions, you can draw a card. Really good in the position swap control strategy. Despite being a very large body, it's not quite an aggro strategy. Pack number 3 here. I'm basically a pro at opening Elestrals pack super fast now after I figured out how tough they were. Starting off, we have a Voldusk, we have a Gloombat, Toxiri, Havacub, Drakid. This is the artwork for the official release of Drakid and Dragking. I actually really like the Moonrise artworks a bit more than the Shattered Stars artwork personally. Titanostrike, this came in the Shattered Stars as a promo early as well, and I love this artwork of the supercharged up, like Brachiosaurus thing, full of lightning. Aspral for the Blizzstrix strategy. There's the Draco Ray I mentioned earlier. On cast, it allows you to heal up to 3 Solar Spirits, which basically makes it Prime Spoiled Fruit Bait. And then our first holo is an Artemis. So this one is different than the commons we got from the starter decks. This one is shiny. I'm gonna go ahead and find some sleeves to put these in. Keep my holo pulls off to the side over here. Moving on to pack 4. Starting with a Temple of the Moon. No Stone Unturned. This card is very hyped for being able to add any of the popular and strong Lith Elestrals, of which 2 of which are already limited, with a 3rd one potentially coming on the way, depending on how Blizzstrix does. Magnetic Force Field, which shockingly lists Magneros in the artwork, however, is unsearchable by Magneros because it's a counter rune, not an invoke. A Nabi. A Fawnlet. Hypnosum, super cute little guy here. A Werepup, which enables the Lunar Phase strategy as well as being part of the really strong and popular Lunar Aggro deck. A Bandaloon. and a Lunar Phase New Moon for our rare. I think this is actually a bit short printed compared to some of the other cards in the set, so this is a really good card. It is part of the Lunar Phase strategy. Titles are basically what they use as instead of just archetype names in the Elestrals card game. Is an invoke rune that allows you to target an Elestral in the field and suppress it until the end phase, so negate its effects. But also you may expend Lunar equal to that card's enchantment cost and discard a different Lunar Phase and destroy it. So basically, if you open this with another Lunar Phase, you can negate the effects of something, expend a few spirits, and completely destroy it, as well as likely triggering the effects of the Lunar Phase that you discarded, because a lot of the Lunar Phases have effects that revolve around being discarded by other Lunar Phases. Very, very powerful card here in the Lunar Phase strategy. Pack number 5 here, starting off we have Clovey, who I think was only in a starter deck up until now, so he's finally been released from his starter deck jail. Super cute little guy. We have Cactibrel for that Cactibrum earlier. Cinder, which is part of the funny-ass mill strategy, milling your opponent's deck out. Bellowbee, which goes into Infornax, a very strong card I've wanted to test with. Schnark. Titano Strike. Aspral. Draco Ray. And a Necrolith Hollow for our rare. This is one of those liths that I mentioned, and this one is pretty strong with the Posthumous starter deck, really good at helping buff that starter deck actually, because it can be normal cast with 2 Lunar Spirits if an opponent has at least 2 suppressed cards, and when you cast this Necrolith, you can destroy a suppressed Elestral. So you can use this, for example, with this Lunar Phase New Moon, as well as an Artemis, in order to get a big level 7 body out for free, and destroy the Elestral that you suppressed off of, say, the New Moon, for example. Very, very strong card, really has a lot of potential in the future. Also works incredible with Dense Fog that we showed earlier, because it works on all Elestrals in the field. Except for Lunar Enchanted ones, unfortunately. Alright, last pack here. Starting us off, we have a Starbit, Electrifly, Winjin, Carrion, Snowlet, the little baby of the Blistrix line, Bow of Artemis, Lunar Phase Waxing Gibbous, finally another Lunar Phase here, Lunar Phase Waning Crescent, and a Hollow Antitan for our rare. So we can actually talk about the whole Antitan line now. So Antitan is a very big 3-drop that allows you to discard any bug card from your hand in order to target and destroy a card, kind of like Night Venom with that Dense Fog discard, except that one actually pops 2 cards. But this effect can be activated up to 2 times in a turn anyway, so this also can pop up to 2 cards. And while there is a Bug Elestral on the field, this Antitan is unaffected by opponent's Elestral's effects. So this card is a bit on the quote-unquote weaker end for a lot of 3-drops because Elestral effects aren't like super prominent as opposed to rune effects, especially like counter runes like Shield of Achilles, but you can use the Antitan in order to out those back row that could be a bit of a problem. And he is a decent sized body, especially with a full away forest up, and he's not super hard to actually get into, especially if you're playing against an opponent that wants to put bugs on board so that you can pop them with your Aardvarem. Alright, that is it for our starter deck packs. Getting 3 hollows in there, basically at least 1 hollow every 2 packs is pretty cool. Moving on, I'm actually not going to open up the Like a Void promo. I'm going to keep it in the plastic. I want to keep it in really good condition. However, if you do want to see the Like a Void promo, my friend did open one of his on his Moonrise opening video as well, which I'm probably going to link probably in the description as well as up in the top right at some point. I'm also going to save the Shattered Stars and tournament packs until the end. So I think next I'm going to go ahead and go with the Blister Stellar promo packs. As I mentioned, these Blister packs come with Stellar promo cards, which aren't as rare as regular Stellars, of course, but however still follow under that alternate color palette and a really pretty foiling pattern. And so we have 4 ones here. I was going to say 4 different ones. We have 3 different ones plus 2 of the Owloon one. Just like how I got my 2 Flurmeans from my Frostfall one. These are going to be really pretty in order to actually play with because I don't have very many Owloons in general. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with, if I can open it up, one of the Owloon ones so I can keep the other ones in the background here. Keep it nice and pretty. And at least the promos aren't gargantuanly warped this time. So I'll admit, during the Frostfall one, and just Frostfall era in general, the card stock was pretty bad for, like, all of the cards that were foiled. And the promos, the Stellar promos, were really, really bad. I have, like, an Ambro that's, like, this warped as that sleeve. I'm trying not to warp the actual card too much, but it was like, it's really bad still. However, the Moonrise and Daybreak card stock is a lot better. It still warps a little bit, I will admit. However, they are just, again, a lot better. I'm gonna try to show off the foiling a bit if I can on this right here. And it also comes in a penny sleeve now, which I really like. It's actually a little bit thicker. It's more like the sleeves that I'm using for right now for the hollow foils, sorry. But yeah, this is going to be really cool to use. I love the way that it extends out past the border. And I'm going to keep these over here with the rest of our foils. Actually keep it in a separate pile. And we can move on to the actual pack itself now. Starting off with a Bellowbee, followed by a Cinder, Snark, Starbit, Electrifly, Werepup, Bandaloon, Aardvark, and a Corvuscull for our rare. This is the card that replaced the Like a Void for its Stellar slot for the $50 or up spending on the Elestrals website. This allows you to foretell 3 when it receives 1 or more Lunar, and exchange a foretold card with a card in your Underworld, and the new card becomes foretold. So it's pretty cool in case you want to put something back, because putting stuff back from your Underworld that isn't spirits actually isn't very good, or sorry, very prominent in the Elestrals game. And so being able to do that is really cool. Plus, it also, I believe, counts as a mill. So if you want to play like that Cedar Sword we showed earlier, you can use this, send the Cedar Sword to the Underworld, and trigger the Cedar Sword to special cast itself. Next up, let's do the Comalis one here. I will show off all of these Stellars the best that I can. This is the Stellar Comalis. Take it a little bit out of the sleeve. This is, again, the one that searches Pharaohgeist, and it is a very pretty Stellar. It looks like it's in the bowels of Tartarus there in the back. Or I think it's, oh, that's a Blood Moon, actually. I see it now in the back right there. That is really, really sick. Blood Moons are always super cool. And then we get to move on to our second pack. I'm not playing like the Thunder Lunar deck that Bean Soldier actually tried getting me to play, so I'm not playing Comalis in anything anymore, so I can't really use it there, but I kind of want to hold on to my Stellar promos and keep them in really good condition, just because they look so cool. We have an Ardbud, a Clovey, a Cactibrel, a Cinder, a Bellowbee, a Lunar Phase Waxing Gibbous. Unfortunately, I already bought all of mine, but this card is really good, and so I wish I would have waited so I could pull them. Waning Crescent, Tsunami High Tide works very well with Joblin, allows you to change the position of up to 2 Elestrals, and you may enchant a Water or Lunar from your Underworld to your field. And we have another New Moon for our rare. That's really good. Again, I'm pretty sure this card was like really hard to pull from a lot of other people that are opening their boxes. And so having 2 of them and the third that I already actually have ordered is really, really sick. I have a full playset now. Alrighty, moving on to our third blister pack here. This is the Werepup one. The Werepup I actually might be able to play because I am looking at that Lunar Aggro list that was basically topped by all 4 people representing the caster's corner in the deck profile that's up. You should go ahead and check that out. I gotta keep not letting the actual promo slip away. It's like in a slight indent in there. I keep thinking I'm pulling it out. We have the Stellar Werepup here. I'm pretty sure there's already one that we're getting for the Kickstarter for Elestrals Clash, so this will pair really nicely with that one. I believe that one's a full art, but this card is very, very good. It allows you to add a Lunar Phase. Speaking of, we are hoping to pull at least 1 Lunar Phase Full Moon. That is basically one of the big cards that I'm actually chasing from this set, is just 1 copy of Lunar Phase Full Moon, which is apparently really hard to pull. So starting off, we have Carrion, Snowlit, Cockaray, Armadon, Luxomare, Werepup, Bandaloon, Aardvark, and a Hollow Draking for our rare. Again, I love the new Moonrise artwork for Draking, and I will probably play this over my Shattered Stars common for my Draking deck in case I ever want to bring it back. Though Draking has admittedly fallen off a little bit. It had a lot of potential, but it just never really seemed to get its good footing, but I really love this artwork, and it's cool that he got a hollow foil spot. Last blister pack here, this was the Owloon one, the second one. We have Havacub, Drakid, Porcuraith, Ardbud, Clovey, Theraheart, Volumbra, this is the Ascension of Dusk, Hypnosum, and a Hollow Divine Healing for our rare. Very nice to have a shiny copy of this card. I think it's going to be very, very strong at some point in the future, just like a lot of cards in the set of Moonrise. Well, that is it for the starter deck and blister packs that aren't, or at least that are of the Moonrise set. Moving on to the Big Daddy. Oh, that was a terrible idea. I think I just moved my camera. Oopsies. But yeah, this is a full box of Moonrise. I believe there are 36 packs in here. And so that's going to be a lot of packs to go through. I'll try to breeze through them relatively quickly. But again, we are looking for specifically Lunar Phase Full Moon. And for the guaranteed full art that we get in this box, I am hoping to get one of the back row cards, something like Tsunami, Shield of Achilles, or especially Ambrosia would be really, really sick. We also get a guaranteed Hollow Spirit. Wouldn't mind a Leviathan, wouldn't mind like a Zaptor, you know. I wouldn't really mind any of them. I don't really play the Hollow Spirits too often. I usually like to play the full arts or the stained glass ones from Shattered Stars anyway. But honestly, I'm not really super picky. And now all of these boxes do come with a box topper as well. I think this one has, I believe, Posthumous, Volclips, and Fulgorix, question mark? Or maybe it's just Posthumous, I honestly have no idea. But it has the potential to be an X out of 10 Stellar, and most of the X out of 10 Stellars in the game still haven't even been claimed. And so it'd be really, really cool if we did manage to get one. Put the box in the back right here. This is our box topper. We're gonna flip it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so just a regular full art Posthumous, not the X out of 10 Stellar. However, this is incredibly beautiful, regardless of how playable Posthumous actually is in the competitive landscape. And now we gotta dip our hands into all these packs. Okay, and I'm just gonna take them one at a time because this is a lot of packs. Okay, I'm not going to waste any time here. I have to start cracking because this video is going on way too long. Starting off with a Schnark, Starbit, Electrifly, Winjin, I'll pull it down actually because the box is in the way, Carrion, Artvarum, Cedarsaur, Cactobrum, and another Joblin for our rare. Next pack starts with a Gloombat, Toxiri, Havacub, Drakid, Porcywraith, Doppelgator, Theraheart, Volumbra, and an Infornax for our rare. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this card because I think it is really, really cool. I love Infornax a lot. So it's a Wind Fire 4/7 that allows you to expend Wind in order to return an opponent's card to their hand, non-targeting, by the way. And also, when you cast an Elestral or Rune with at least Fire or Wind, that includes its own cast, you can give this Infornax +2 attack until the end phase. So if you actually want to see some gameplay of the Infornax deck, though admittedly it only hits the board at the very end, check out the Elestrals channel. We have K-Cray versus PK Sparks on there, with K being on the Lunar Phase deck and PK being on the Infornax strategy. I think Infornax is a very, very strong Elestral, with the only problem being that it is a little bit difficult to actually get into, because both Fire and Wind have very specific ways of like actually getting out Ascension stuff, as opposed to something like Water that has like 2 really good ways between Foamy and Tadpuff. But I do want to definitely test around with Infornax, especially in future sets. I think it is an incredible card. Pack number 3, we have Ardbud, Clovey, Cactobril, Cinder, Bellowbee, Hypnosum, Werepup, Bandaloon, and a Hollow Aviolith for our rare. So Aviolith is another one of those liths. It is the second brand new lith other than Necrolith out of the Moonrise set. It requires 2 Wind, but it can be normal cast with Wind if an opponent has at least 2 face-down runes. And when you cast it, you can draw a card for each face-down rune on an opponent's field. So Aviolith is among the weaker of the liths, not because it's necessarily terrible of an effect to draw cards, but mostly just because a lot of people are playing around cards like Hurricane, which would be cool to pull my 3rd copy of Hurricane from this set in this box, which allows you to blow up all face-down runes on the field, and so therefore people are playing around it by setting only usually 1 rune, so that they don't really lose as much card advantage off of something like that. And so Aviolith doesn't really get summoned a lot. Still a pretty cool card, though. Next pack starts with Snowlet, Cockaray, one of the funniest names in any card game, Armadon, Luxomare, Lunar Phase first quarter, Oistress goes into Oistillery, my goat, Electronite. Wanted to test this deck out really bad, but it's just kind of not amazing. Titano Strike. Ooh, and a Blistrix for our rare. Okay, so my friend actually plays this deck, but he didn't even pull one in his box. So Blistrix is a really sick and scary card. It's one of the most hyped decks of Moonrise, because basically it revolves around the deck milling each other in order to go into the bigger ones as they're milled while you have the smaller ones on field, which means that you can easily set up a Blistrix turn 1 just by getting lucky and gambling, and you can return 3 Elestrals from your underworld to the bottom of your deck in order to target and destroy a card, which basically refuels your deck to make more stuff that's millable actually in there, but also just allows you to recycle really strong cards like the Morfrost engine. And the biggest thing about Blistrix is just how large it is. I mean, a 12 body on a 3-drop that you can get out super easily, especially with both Earthquake and Resting on Your Laurels being limited, and the ability to pop cards like Shield of Achilles. This card is very difficult to out, at least without taking some major spirit damage in the form of something like a PTA first. Next pack starts with a Lunar Phase Waning Gibbous, followed by a Lunar Phase Final Quarter, Temple of the Moon. I think we've actually pulled every Lunar Phase now that isn't full moon. No Stone Unturned, Magnetic Force Field, Asprowl, Draco Ray, Bow of Artemis, and Oistillery for our rare. I love this card so much. So basically, Oistillery is one of the highlights of the Reanimator deck, which unfortunately isn't as good as it was cracked up to be. Just trust me, I know from personal experience. But it is a 4/8 body, absolutely massive defense, incredible with a Galaxy on board to swap it. Can special ascend it from Oistress if you also disenchant water from your field, which, let's be real, isn't really happening. But you can also discard a water card in order to target and destroy a card, which allows you to put some really cool water stuff in your graveyard / underworld for summon back off of cards like Capragol, Rise from the Depths, Rise from the Ashes, etc. As well as being able to really easily remove cards like that, really hard to out Blistrix. So that's why Reanimator was hyped as a good Blistrix counter. But Blistrix itself is really glass cannon-y anyway, as well as this deck. Both of them are very luck-based. However, Blistrix can usually do what it does a little more consistently. Next up, we have Electrifly, Windjin, Carrion, Snowlet, Cockaray, Hypnosum, Werepup, Bandaloon, and another Hollow Artemis. Next, we have Nobby, Fawnlet, Voldusk, Gloombat, Tuxiri, looking very familiar to our very first pack, Lunar Phase Waxing Gibbous, Lunar Phase Waning Crescent, Tsunami High Tide, and a Dragulus as our holo. This is not played as often as Draco Ray, for example, which is its pre-ascension, but Dragulus is pretty cool too. It allows you to expend fire in order to suppress each face-up card on an opponent's field until the end phase, and then you can enchant Solar from your spirit deck and or underworld of this Dragulus up to the number of cards suppressed this way. So this card can swing very hard and make it very hard for your opponent to have something for it. However, it is very susceptible to counter runes, unfortunately. Next, we have Armadon, Luxomare, Lunar Phase First Quarter, Waning Gibbous, Final Quarter, Ardvarum, Cedarsaur, Cactobrum, and Gardon for our rare. This card isn't super incredible, but he is pretty funny. Your Elestrals get +2 defense, which puts him at a 10 bare minimum. And when an opponent activates an effect that targets one or more of your runes, you can expend 2 solar in order to negate that effect. So basically, it's like supposed to be a protect the castle strategy, but he himself doesn't really have much protection. Would have been cooler if he protected from targeting from your cards, period, or if he was like a 3-drop that could do that. But basically, just stick to playing Armadon, which is a little guy version of basically Temple of the Moon, No Stone Unturned, Magnetic Force Field, Nobby, Fawnlet, Oistress, Electronite, Titano Strike, and Aosdale for our rare. Another not so amazing card. When you cast it, you can foretell 3, and you may special cast a Solar Spirit Foretold this way. Requires a lot of setup, especially with the Cunning Offer and the Luxomare card earlier if you want to really get access to this card super fast, but his stats are pretty good when you have the Temple of the Sun up, so that's good at least. Starting with a Havacub, Drakid, Porcuraith, Ardbud, Clovey, Aurora Borealis again. Second copy I pulled of this actually. It seems kind of hard to get. Cunning Offer, Helios' Slumber, and Magneros for our rare. I actually had no idea this card was a rare, so this card is actually kind of cool for a Thunder, for a more like low to the ground Thunder deck that wants to a Nexus to Astrap a lot. It allows you to Nexus up to 2. They needed a Nexuser after Sparkit got banned. But when you do, you can foretell cards equal to the number of Thunder enchanted cards on your field and add it to 1 Thunder Invoke rune foretold this way to your hand. Very cool to add cards like Hurricane or Thunderstorm, or even Race to the Top. Starting with a Cactibril, Cinder, Bellowbee, Snark, Starbit, Doppelgator, Theraheart, Velumbra, and a Morphrost Scorpio for our rare. Okay, not a bad pull at all. So Scorpio form is a key part in the Morphrost strategy, as well as the Blister strategy playing the Morphrost engine. Allows you to discard a Morphrost in order to target an opponent's Elestral and set its base defense to 0 until the end phase, so it's really easy to go over really big walls such as Astrabit. But also during the turn's end phase, you can expend 2 Frost Spirits in order to destroy that Elestral. So basically you have a searchable Earthquake on legs for basically anything you want. That thing doesn't even have to be in defense position. You just cast this, discard a Morphrost, preferably Bat form, to revive one of your other Morphrosts, and then during the end phase, expend 2 Frost in order to pop that card, and now you have like 2 bodies on board as a wall, and you got rid of an opponent's very large threat. It's why Morphrost is very hyped for this format due to being able to out cards like Blistrix very easy. Next we have Voldusk, Gloombat, Toxiri, Havcub, Drakid, Asprowl, Draco Ray, Bow of Artemis. Ah, let's go! We got a Lunar Phase Full Moon for our rare as a holo. I really, really needed this card. So this card is incredible. You enchant up to 2 Lunar to an Elestral on your field, and then when it's discarded by another Lunar Phase, you can foretell 3. You're typically not using that second effect, but that first effect is very crucial for the Lunar aggro strategy. Basically, you want to revolve around Werepup, getting immediate access to this, being able to flip this, get 2 more spirits on your Werepup, and then ascend it into a Lyca Void, who we actually haven't pulled yet, surprisingly enough, and just being able to pump out a lot of damage. And the Lyca Void is unaffected by counter runes and deals piercing the turn that you cast Full Moon, so you can just do so much to your opponent. And this is the second copy that I needed. I bought one when it was like $5 still, and then it spiked up to almost 30, so this card is an incredible pull from this box. Next up we have Bellowbee, Snark, Starbit, Electrifly, Winjin, Aurora Borealis, I have my playset now, Cunning Offer, Helios' Slumber, and a Lunar Phase Waxing Crescent for our rare. Okay, maybe we actually didn't pull all the Lunar Phases yet. Now we have, definitely, for sure. But I didn't realize this one was a rare, so it targets a Lunar Enchanted Elestral and gives it +1 attack until the end phase for each Lunar Phase in all Underworlds. Not amazing, admittedly. This is probably one of the weaker Lunar Phases, especially because it doesn't discard a Lunar Phase or trigger when it is discarded, so it really doesn't synergize super well with a lot of the other Lunar Phases. Next up, we have Porcuraith, Ardbud, Clovey, Cactibril, Cinder, Waxing Gibbous, sorry, not Waning. This is Waning Crescent, Tsunami High Tide, and a 3rd New Moon. Wow, unfortunately I do already have my 3rd, but we just completed a playset within just packs that we got from this creator box. That is really cool. Next is Magnetic Force Field, Nabi, Fawnlet, Voldusk, Gloombat, Ardvarum, Cedarsaur, Cactobrum, and a Fulgorix for our rare. I believe we are almost halfway through our box. I think we're like 2 packs away, or 1 after this one. We still have yet to see our guaranteed Holo Spirit or Full Art yet, so that could be really interesting to see what we get. Carrion, Snowlet, Cockaray, Armadon, Luxomare, Doppelgator, Theraheart, Velumbra, and another Holo Divine Healing. Lunar Phase First Quarter, Waning Gibbous, Final Quarter, Temple of the Moon, No Stone Unturned, Hypnosum, Werepup, Bandaloon, and another Spoiled Fruit. Awesome, we're almost at my playset. Next up is Toxiri, Havcub, Drakid, Porcuraith, Ardbud, Oistress, Electronite, Titano Strike, and a Hurricane for a rare. That completes my playset. I mentioned it earlier, but this card is incredibly powerful in the new format after being underhyped for a little bit. It destroys all face-down runes, and counter runes are incredibly important in the game of Elestrals. Also, it's really good in case your opponent wants to bluff set some cards, which is why setting cards as bluffs is actually good in Clash right now, because Hurricane actually isn't in the format yet. But yeah, this card is very, very strong. Super good for any deck that wants to play super aggro, for example, Draking. Starting off with Clovey, Cactibrel, Cinder, Bellowbee, Schnark, Asprowl, Draco Ray, Bow of Artemis, and a Posthumous. Next is Luxomare, First Quarter, Waning Gibbous, Final Quarter, Temple of the Moon, Waxing Gibbous, Waning Crescent, Tsunami High Tide, and another Oistillery. Next is Starbit, Electrifly, Windjin, Carry On. We haven't seen we haven't pulled a carry off. I know my friend actually pulled a lot. Snowlet, Waxing Gibbous, Waning Crescent, Tsunami High Tide, and a Volclipse for our holo/rare. So we actually haven't seen Volclipse, I believe, as a card in this opening yet. So it gets +1 attack for each different title among lunar phases in your underworld, and you can shuffle 8 lunar phases with different titles from your underworld into your deck in order to return an opponent's field to their hand. So this effect is really good on paper, like in theory, but most of the lunar phases are kind of not amazing, so you'd only want to play one just because you have to, and then like spam discard them. And also this card is just very difficult to actually like realistically get out. So typically for the lunar phase strategy, you just sit on like the Voldusks and the Werepups while playing some of the better lunar phases and just a bunch of generic good cards, kind of like a control strategy instead. This is actually my last clear sleeve here. I gotta start using a bunch of random ones now. No Stone Unturned, Magnetic Force Field, Nobby, Fawnlet, Voldusk, Aurora Borealis, Cunning Offer, Helios' Slumber, and another Magnaros. Still no signs of that Hollow Spirit or Full Art yet. Cockaway, Armadon, Luxomare, First Quarter, Waning Gibbous, Me, Cunning Offer, Helios' Slumber, and an X-Possum for a rare. I didn't know this card was a rare. So when this X-Possum is sent from your hand or deck to the underworld, you can expend Lunar in order to special cast it from your underworld with 2 Lunar. So it's a free way to get a body on board. However, the stats are not good at all. Even with a Temple of the Moon, this card just becomes a 5, which is okay. Which is not really worth the investment to actually bring it out on board, unfortunately. Next up is Gloombat, Toxiri, Havacub, Drakid, Porcuraith, Doppelgator, Theraheart, Volumbra, and another Scorpio form. Awesome. Next up we have Cockaway, Armadon, Luxomare, First Quarter, Waning Gibbous, Me, Cunning Offer. These cards really like to stick together. I don't think we've seen Aurora Borealis without Cunning Offer. Helios' Slumber also, and another Draking. Final Quarter, Temple of the Moon, Cockaway, Armadon, Luxomare, Doppelgator, Theraheart, Volumbra. Ooh, and we landed our full art. This is our full art Artemis. So not a card I have to explain or anything like some of the other full arts maybe, but what a gorgeous card, and it goes along great with my full art Keone. So now I have multiple full art Divine Runes. Very, very pretty card here. I'm sure this card is going to hold a lot of value for the future, but it's going to be very nice for my collection. All right, our full art has been secured. Now all that's left is our Hollow Spirit. We have a Final Quarter, Temple of the Moon, No Stone Unturned, Magnetic Force Field, Nobby, Doppelgator, Theraheart, Volumbra, and a Cryptoris. Next is First Quarter, Waning Gibbous, Final Quarter, Temple of the Moon, No Stone Unturned, Hypnosum, Werepup, Bandaloon, and a Phasmacore for our rare. So this card is pretty neat. When it's destroyed in battle by an opponent's card effect, you can expend a Lunar to special cast this card during the turn's end phase. So it's an 8 attacker that can just come back infinitely. Even if it gets Cryoblast, you just have to have the spirits for it. I think it's pretty neat and becomes a very large body under Temple of the Moon, so maybe something to think about building a deck around. All right, I think we have like 8 packs left or something like that, just from feeling in there. Fawnlet, Voldusk, Gloombat, Toxiri, same 4 cards that we've seen in a lot of other packs, Havacub, Hypnosum, Werepup, Bandaloon, and a Salashade, also part of the mill strategy, sends from Cinder. It gets +1 attack for each Elestral in your opponent's underworlds, so it can get very, very large. And when a player casts an Elestral, an opponent must send the top 3 cards of their deck to the underworld. Really funny strategy. I just wish it was a little bit bigger, like a defense-wise, so that you couldn't just get eddied and explode. Magnetic Force Field, Nobby, Fawnlet, Voldusk, Gloombat, Ardvarum, Cedarsaur, Cactibrum, and a Night Venom for our rare. Drakid, Porcuraith, Ardbud, Clovey, Cactibrel, Ardvarum, Cedarsaur, Cactibrum, and there's our Hollow Spirit. We have a Leviathan, and then we have an Infornax as an additional rare, so that's really cool. So yeah, we ended up getting the Leviathan, just like my friend did, and I'm not complaining. I really like water in this game. I just wish it was a little bit stronger. So that's all of our guaranteed foils that we have in the set, so now we're just kind of riding it out and seeing what other awesome stuff that we can get. I don't think there's too much that we don't have that we're looking for from this set now that we've pulled our full moons and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just here for the ride, honestly. And that ride gets us a Polterroar, Clovey, Cactibrel, Cinder, Bellowbee, Schnark, Asprowl, Draco Ray, Bow of Artemis, and ooh, we actually got a Leica Void, so I already do have one of these as well. But this is what you use with the Werepup and the Full Moon in order to go into it. Very powerful for the Lunar aggro strategy. You get a lot of damage on board with the 4 spirits likely that are going to be under your Leica Void, as well as doing piercing and being unaffected by counter runes for a turn. Very, very strong card. Next up we have Cinder, Bellowbee, Schnark, Starbit, Electrifly, Oistress, Electronite, Titanostrike, and a Hollow Comalis. Second to last pack here, we have Starbit, Electrifly, Winjin. I just realized I don't think we've actually pulled a Tornadin. Good thing it came in Shattered Stars. Carrion, Snowlet, Waxing Gibbous, Waning Crescent, Tsunami High Tide, and a Corvuscle. I've noticed High Tide likes to stick right behind the rare every time. That's really funny. And moving on to the final pack here with a full Gorix on it. Could we get a serialized Stellar or even a reverse Stellar? I know my friend got a reverse Stellar, I believe New Moon, which was an incredible pull on top of his serialized Stellar Nobby. So let's go ahead and see. I'll actually do the card trick, pull the Spirit to the front. I was like, wait a minute, it didn't look like a Spirit, but it was. So if I Pyro for a Spirit with a Winjin, Carrion, Snowlet, Cockaray. I also wouldn't mind pulling my third Spoiled Fruit here, by the way. Armadon, Asprowl, Draco Ray, Bow of Artemis, and a Joblin to finish the playset and wrap up our booster box of Moonrise. And before I end the video, after showing off all of my pulls, you just know that I can't forget about the Tournament and Shattered Stars packs. So I'm going to go ahead and showcase them in a row. We have the Tournament Pack Series 1. These are the packs that you get for participating as well as doing very well in the locals Elestrals tournaments. And I believe all of them come with a guaranteed reverse Stellar. So we have an Altar of Stars. We have an Elichick, very cool little artwork there, as well as a Griffuse for our Stellar. Moving on to Tournament Pack Series 2, we have a Glimbat, very cute artwork there, as well as a Cockaray, and ooh, the Stellar Chronodile. My friend's definitely going to want to pick this up off of me. He loves Chronodile. Absolutely gorgeous.
And then finally, we have a pack of Shattered Stars Sagittarius. This is part of their monthly subscription service where you can pay a small amount in order to basically get packs shipped straight to your door every month with a bunch of really cool guaranteed commons, including cards that probably aren't even released yet, as well as getting the chance to pull different reverse and serialized stellars, and just getting some awesome little alt arts of stuff. So for this one, we have Cyanectar. Oop, kind of spoiled some stuff there for myself. Wasp Ivy, Panzer, Mudlet. If you couldn't tell, this is on the old card stock, which is why they are very hard to pull apart. Yeah. Ardbud, and our holo is Cyanectar, as well as the full art Vertilith. I actually didn't get this when I pulled my initial Shattered Star Sagittarius, so this is an incredible pull right here. Definitely going to keep it in a sleeve though, because this is part of that foil that can and will warp on you 100%, as well as a little stained glass Atlas. Alrighty, y'all, that's gonna have to do it for my Moonrise creator box opening for the latest Elestrals set. Super, super fun. I always love opening packs, and I want to give my most gracious thank you to the Elestrals team for yet again choosing me to represent their community, as well as representing the brand to open one of these influencer boxes. It makes me feel really, really special and proud of where I've come as a content creator. I don't think we actually did too bad on our polls, and be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please leave a like, as I'll split this video and the channel into the YouTube recommended and the rest content where like it, like the rest of my Elestrals content. Again, we are going to that Dallas Open in March. Then perhaps consider subscribing and turning notifications if you haven't already, because it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. Also, if you support me financially, we're getting some awesome perks in the process. Check out my Patreon down in the description below, where you can see the awesome perks you can get from my $1 and $5 tiers. And then once again, I want to give a huge shout out to Elestrals. Be sure to check out the game if you haven't already. It is incredibly fun, really, really unique. It feels a little bit similar and familiar to any card games you might have already played, while also managing to be incredibly unique and fun. But once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.